Hello everyone, it's Whiskey River again, and this time I'm bringing you a Metri hunting compilation. I got quite a few hunts in over the weekend, and so I put together some highlights here in these clips. Hope you enjoy them. Thanks for clicking on my video, and please give me a comment if you have any questions or comments, and leave a like if you enjoy the video. So this first clip is a Pycno, as you can see, and Pycnos are one of my favorite targets on the Metri. They're really good against bigger targets, Rexes and Gigas and Trikes and things that are slower and have a hard time getting or avoiding their charge. If the Pycno hits you with their charge and then headbutt afterwards, it does a lot of damage. They usually have their build set up to where they're doing a lot of damage at high speeds and not so much damage when they're standing still. And that's why it's a good target for the Metri, because in the Metri you can just sit and turn circles around them, like I'm doing with this one, and he is hitting me, but the damage that they're doing is not near as good as it is if he was hitting me as he was running full speed or in a charge. So with a Metri, you can basically tail ride them, stay behind them. Even if you do take some hits like I am here, you can heal through it. He just finally realizes that it's a losing fight and wants to just get it over with. This was an Allo I found a little bit later. After I was searching around for a while and getting hungry. The Metri gets hungry pretty quick, actually, and it's both a good and a bad thing. It's good because you can hunt frequently, and that's kind of the most fun in the game when you're on a Metri is hunting. So it's nice to be able to hunt more frequently than you can on other dinosaurs. But the downside is that if you're picking a bigger target like a Torvo or a Giga or something, it can take a really long time, and during that fight you could start to starve, and that can be kind of frustrating. But I wanted a 1v1 this Allo. It's a sub-adult Allo I saw questing around, and I was hungry, so I wanted to give it a shot. And it was pretty easy. I'm going to graduate to an adult Allo next. I have fought adult Allos before when they were hunting me, and I ended up getting the upper hand in the battle, but it swam across a river, and they're better swimmers than the Metri, and I couldn't catch it, so I just gave up the fight. So I do need to find next time I see a solo Allo, I'm going to try to 1v1 it. Even though this was a 1v1, this guy was a sub-adult, not an adult, so I need to see how much of a difference that'll make. One thing, once they get the red eyes, I know they're low. Allos and Torvos and Ceratos, anything that has that ability, I think it's actually a kind of a bad ability, really, because it lets everybody know from, like, in the whole POI can see your glowing eyes, and they know you're low. So you just become a target, and I'm fighting against it now, and it just makes me more aggressive because I know he's about to die. So it's a tell, I think, that they should get rid of in the game, because it's not really a help at all. It's also not very realistic. It brings too much of an arcade aspect to it. I think they do a good job balancing the arcade versus realism in this game. I mean, heal calls and stuff obviously isn't all that realistic, but at least it's kind of a good way to adapt video game stuff in with a realistic type game. But the glowing eyes and all that, I think it's just a little too much. So here I was hunting this Giga family. They were going around in Savannah trying to raise a baby Giga, which is probably the worst place to try to do that because I mean, I guess if you want excitement, you want a challenge, that's where you want to go. But it's like 90% chance your juvenile Giga is going to die. They made it. They got this Giga actually up to adolescence, so it lasted quite a while. But I was stalking them for a while actually. I was just waiting for my moment for them to separate. I tried hunting them a little bit earlier, and they were pretty good at defending the baby. Plus, there's like hats flying around. There's a lot of potential third parties, so I waited for them to get way out here in the outskirts where it's a little bit less traveled out here away from the ponds, and I waited for them to separate. So I see the one leave, and he was going towards the water ponds. And so this one here, I think, was just kind of waiting around to evaluate if there was any threats in the area, and it looked clear to them, so now they're going to get water as well. See him looking all around, looking for any threats. So as soon as he gets out of my where he can't see me anymore, then I know it's time to go get the adolescent. And I'm sure the adolescent was probably eager to grow and wanted to hurry up, so they didn't want to go get water, they just wanted a quest. But they left themselves vulnerable at the same time. Trying to position myself where if they bite me, they also bite their baby. And I got stuck on them there for a second, so I took some unnecessary damage. But I can heal through it. Sure, that player was super frustrated because they were the whole time I was kind of stalking them around and stuff. They kept on telling me to leave and said that I was rule breaking and all this other kind of stuff. That nonsense to try to get me to give up, but it didn't work. Here I'm playing with my friends Griffin and Black Goddess, and we came across this Iggy that we decided we wanted to try to hunt. And Iggy is a tougher target. They're pretty tanky, and their attacks hurt. They also have like a shield feature, their ability they can use that will limit incoming damage. So they weren't using it too much against us, because I guess we can kind of like hit and run. So it probably figured do damage instead of the shield, but uses it a little bit in the end, like or in the fight, a little bit later in the fight. If you can get in and get a hit and get out on these guys, you can. It takes a long time, but you can whittle them down. It's trying to use the rock here to limit our angles, which is smart. But we're very agile, these Metries, and they can still jump and get in and out even when he's in a tight spot like that. We don't take a lot of fall damage, so it's not the best place for him, but it is better than being out in the field. These bigger, slower targets are good targets for the Metri because we can heal while they just have to sit there and take damage and have no way of healing while they're in combat. They eventually realize they're just taking too much damage, so it's going to use the water. And it's one of the big advantages of the Iggy is they are great swimmers. And he's taking a huge risk getting across that bay right there because there was a Levi in there that we saw. And I was surprised it didn't hit it, but I guess it wasn't close enough, but it ends up finally attacking it. But I think they were a new player because they missed their first few attacks they missed. And that's one of the reasons I don't like to target Iggy's is because that's usually what they do is they'll usually fight you for a little bit and then just go swim somewhere that you can't get to. And then you're standing there like low health, for something to come pick you off. But on Metris you can heal up so fast that we wanted to take the risk at this point. So apparently he switched to the slam when he went out into the woods while we were swimming across over there. He must have laid down and switched to the slam. It's probably a good idea because that'll do a lot more damage to us. This clip here is a 1v1 I had against a Torvo. I've done a few of these now. I like to. It's my second favorite target is Torvos, Pycnos and Torvos. Especially if I've got a pack with me, but even by myself I can take a Torvo on. And it just takes a long time. It takes longer. It takes a good 30 minutes or so. When you're by yourself, it'll probably only take about 15 if you've got a pack with you. But one of the reasons I love fighting the Torvos is because the Torvo is a apex with a superior turn radius to any other apex, so they exploit that, and they get in and they tail ride the Rexes and the Gigas, and it's really hard to fight against them if they know what they're doing with that turn exploit. So I enjoy giving them a taste of their own medicine with the Metri. I can do the same thing to them that they do to the bigger, slower apexes. So it's kind of one of my missions, personal missions in the game, is to take out as many Torvos as I can. Sometimes I fight the Rexes, but if I've got a choice, I'll take a Torvo. Rex still has bone break, even though it's easy to dodge. If it hits you with one bone break, you're dead. So it's a lot riskier. And Rexes are they're getting bullied right now. They're in a bad spot, but so I try not to target the Rexes. I like to, if I can, let them go or save them. If I have an opportunity to hunt a Torvo or a Rex, I'll just choose a Torvo each time. And you got to be patient with a Torvo. Not only do you have to heal up, obviously, and keep yourself healthy, because their bites do a lot of damage, but their bites stack. So They can get about a 5 stack on their bite, so you want to make sure that doesn't stack up. You can see how big of a chunk of damage it does there at the 5 stack, so you got to avoid that. It takes about 5 or 6 seconds for that stack timer to go down, but if they've got 5 stacks built up, then you're talking a good 25 seconds or so. You got to wait to get all the stacks down, and then you can tank them a little bit more. And one of the nice things is the Metri does have this intimidating screech, which is that blue bird head icon there. And what that does is it mitigates their damage. So if you can let all the stacks drop off and use that intimidating screech on them, then you can trade pretty evenly with them for a little bit. He does have that speed bite, so anytime he hits me with that, I just run away so he can't catch me. They can get a few more bites on your tail if they hit you with that first. But it does have a long animation on the bite, and so it's easy to dodge, and then there's also a cooldown on it after they hit you with it, so it's typically easy to get away after they do hit you with it if they do. He kind of stopped using it after he realizes I'm just running away anyways. And at that point right there, I see the red eyes, so I know he's low, so I'm going to be getting a little more aggressive now. And being that he's low, he knows it, so he's going to use the water, which is smart because Metris are horrible in the water, and Torvos are pretty good swimmers, so he can swim right across there. I've got to try to keep track of him here so I don't lose him, so that I don't disengage. And I kept him in my line of sight that whole time to make sure that I knew where he was and that I could keep on him. It's a Latin that jumped in for a little bit, but I put in local that they're not allowed to third party, and they finally left. I had the intimidating screech activated there, so I stayed and tanked a little longer than I normally would. I don't typically like to get down that low, but my hunger's getting really, really down there, and he's doesn't have much longer to live here. So I'm getting more aggressive to try to finish the fight. And I finally get him in the end here. So that's the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, give me a like and a comment if you enjoyed it and if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you out there in Gondwa. Goodbye.